Here's a short little video where I'm making some lovely, elegant anniversary cards. The paper is really pretty. I like this one the best, but I preferred the birds. These are birds, these are owls, it's still a bird theme, but the contrast here is much prettier. These papers came together in a paper pack. The reverse side of this paper is that there. I put gold birds inside, and I put the word love is in the air embossed gold. I put the stamped image embossed in gold, and I meant to actually put the contrast this on the corners, but I made a mistake and I used the same print, because in the other cards I used the contrast, which is the opposite side of this paper, this, on the corners to kind of pull this color into the card. Kind of messed up here, but oh well, it is what it is. Sometimes you make mistakes, you gotta go with it. It's still a lovely card, but I made several of these anniversary cards. Let's see, this one, yeah, I did the same as that. Just choosing coordinating papers that go together, usually from the same paper pack, you can make some lovely cards. And when I make cards, I usually make several. I think I made 8 of these cards. I have some of them already sent out. But this is just a short little video showing you how to make some very simple but lovely cards with coordinating papers. So I'm going to make some anniversary cards, and I want to use these lovely papers, two-sided papers from Stampin' Up. And I'm also going to use this shimmery, sort of a rose-colored shimmery paper, and some gold with the, this is a card base. And we're going to make some lovely cards. I was thinking of the birds would be really good for an anniversary. You know, the idea of lovebirds. So I'm going to cut the birds out with gold. And from this set here, I'm going to use this frame on that. This is the front of the paper. This is the reverse side of the paper, actually. 2 pieces. And then I put the gold birds. And with the scrap leftovers, I cut off the corner with my punch. I cut off the corner and put that there. And then I embossed, gold embossed the letters here. So it makes a lovely, elegant card. And I made a bunch of them, because I have a lot of anniversaries in my family. So I'm using our special celebrations for this stamp here, and beautiful bouquet for the happy anniversary, which fits right there. And I like the word love is in the air from Lift Me Up. Those are the 3 stamps that I am using for this project. Card bases are the standard 5.5 inch by 4 1/4 inch, which is half of a cardstock paper, 8.5 by 11. Cut the paper in half on the long side and you get 2 card bases. For the pattern background paper, I first cut 4-inch wide strips from a 12 by 12 scrapbook size paper. The next cut is 5 1/4 inch. I cut from the long strips. I can get 2 from each strip with a small swatch left over. This will allow a small border of our base color to frame the pattern paper. I like to cut out all my pieces before I start the assembly. When I cut the rose gold shimmery paper, I decided to cut it on the white side. I intend to keep the whole thing intact without punching out all the little parts. I don't usually do that, but for this card it seemed to work well. This paper is thicker, so I rolled over the die 4 times, back and forth. Sometimes some of the little parts came out when I pulled it off the die cut plate. I carefully saved those little pieces and made sure to put them back into their place when I glued them to the card front. I carefully pulled the frame from the paper, keeping the whole die cut intact. The framelit is from Stampin' Up. The set is called Detailed Bands. The bird dies came from Amazon. They just fit my lovebird theme. They came off pretty clean. Just needed to remove a couple of tiny bits with my handy pin. I cut out all the birds that I needed for the number of cards I planned to make. I tried to do all my gluing on the silicone mat, which cleans up nicely. That is from Stampin' Up. With the framelit face down, I applied glue to the back side of it. I made sure to put glue on all the parts so that they would all be affixed to the background paper. This seems like the simplest way to do it. Then I placed the pre-cut backing paper, centering the band horizontal. Looking at the printed paper, I chose my location carefully. I eyeball whereabouts I want the band to run across, which might be different for each card. The two ends get folded over to the back side before affixing it to the card back. I use the reverse side of the same paper for the inside cover of the card. I don't always add paper inside, but these are anniversary cards, so I wanted to make them just a little bit more special. For the sentiment insert, I used the same framelits to cut out the center. I did not want to cut out the whole frame. I pulled some white paper scraps from my scrap bin. It didn't matter if the paper was wide enough because all I want is the center. The rest will be tossed into the trash. I am using thinner papers, computer paper, for my sentiment, so as not to add too much thickness to the card, because already the card will have 7 layers of paper from the sentiment band to the back of the card when it's closed. By using thinner paper for this label, the frame feels higher than the sentiment, which is a nice touch. It is best to stamp the sentiment before cutting to make sure the sentiment is centered properly. I did that with the first batch, but then I got ahead of myself with the second batch of cards. Forgot to do that. Oh well. Since this is a detailed die for extra assurance, I added an additional layer to my sandwich, making sure that it would give me a clean cut. This is just a thin piece of chipboard. I use it as a little extra insurance for all my very detailed dies. Using my corner punch from Stampin' Up, I cut corners off of my leftover swatches to add onto the corners of the white cardstock where the card message is. When I use dark card bases, I almost always add a white or a light colored cardstock inside to stamp the message. Just think it looks better that way. The letters are embossed with gold embossing powder to add another layer of beauty to this special card for a special occasion. And this is what our finished card looks like. Now, the inside of the card is just as lovely as the front of the card. The one bird looks like it's coming down to greet the other bird that's sitting on the branch with perhaps a kiss. Seems appropriate for an anniversary card. I know this was just a simple card. Let the paper design do most of the work for me, but I hope it still inspired you to look through your papers to see what you can create. Thanks for watching.